Howdy y'all, and welcome to Creators Gaming. Today we're going to be making some runes for our sea floor using some scraps and some trash and some plastics from Dollar Tree. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get to it. To start off with, we're using some scraps from some other projects. We're using XPS foam, and I'm just going to cut it to size using a regular blade. No sense in breaking out the Hercules wire cutter for such a small project. And since I'm just using scraps, it doesn't matter if it gets messed up or not. So just be careful and mind your fingers. Do not have a particular size in mind for this. I'm just kind of winging it. I have an idea of what I want in my head, which is some steps or something that fell in. Just rounding out the edges a little bit. It doesn't have to be perfect. Just mind your fingers. Next step, I'm going to use my handy dandy lava rock, and I'm going to put a stone texture on the base layer. We're going to go ahead and build up our steps using, you guessed it, hot glue, because nobody has any time for tacky glue. It just takes forever to dry, and ain't nobody got time for that. After that's done, I am going to be using a piece of scrap cardboard. As you can see, I have used this for some dry brushing in the past, but waste not, want not. So let's go ahead and make use out of this by hot gluing it down. You guessed it. We're going to go ahead and pause the video right here to remind you that you can become a Patreon or buy us a coffee. All proceeds go towards furthering the channel and buying supplies. If you help out, you do get a shout out. Now this step ended up being completely unnecessary. My idea was to kind of recreate the ocean floor and to give it a little bit more texture using the hot glue, but I did end up covering it up. I figured it was looking a little necky, so why not add a few more bricks that have floated down next to the stairs. And we're going to go ahead and texture that with my lava rock. Adds definition and makes it look a little less like some foam. I am not going all the way through, I'm just going part way and just pinching the rest off. Although I am going to put some claw marks in this. I think that adds character and it goes with the theme that I'm going for. And when I go around with the lava rock, I'm going to go around the claw marks, that way I don't lose all that detail. Now for the fun part, setting it all in place. So we're just going to stick this willy-nilly. There's no rhyme or reason on where all these rocks are going. But if it looks right, that's where it's going to live forever. Like I said before, where we did all that hot glue earlier, doesn't make a hill of beans now does it? I probably should have waited. But as most of you know by now, patience is not one of my strong suits, and I wanted to kind of get this done. I'm also going to be using some foam for a different project that I was going to use. I'm not sure how I feel about this one. I probably should have waited to use the rock until after I had it glued on. And then even with that, drawing the runes on the slabs themselves, probably should have waited till after the paint job because this did not transfer the way I wanted it to. It was just way too thin and I couldn't apply the pressure that I wanted to. I do not have a delicate hand. I go a little heavy-handed sometimes, and you know what? That's perfectly fine. It doesn't have to be perfect. I did glue down some of the foam bits that were destined to the trash, and I think it looks pretty good. Now, I will be using some school glue. Yes, you heard me right, school glue, which is very much unlike me because I hate waiting, but it's the best way to apply some sand and grit and make it look like it actually belongs where I'm putting it. Now, hindsight, I probably should have put this on top of a sheet or something. That way, all that sand that made it on my table, I could just scoop it up and pour it back into my tub. But I wasn't thinking when I made this. I probably need to work on that. Once the glue was dry, I took it into the backyard and spray painted it in some Army Painter foam safe spray paint because I had zero patience, already waited for the glue to dry, and I had run out of said patience. Base paint down, I don't have to use so much brown oxide or the gray that I'm going to use next to kind of blend it together. I'm not going to wait until this brown dries. I'm going to go ahead and slather on some of that gray while it's still wet and it meshes better. Using a granite gray to do so. And again, I like using the caps instead of pouring it out onto a paint palette because I don't waste so much paint, because I will. Little trick that I learned from my husband because he constantly paints from the caps. Once the dry brushing is finished, I am going to go over my runes that I had on there before with a black paint It's just a regular black matte paint. That way it's not too shiny, but it works out great. I'm going to go ahead and use my wash that we have made together before using just ink and water. I like to keep it in the food safe cup and it stays that way for a long while. It does not dry out. And I don't have to pay $15 for a bottle of it either, so make your own, save some money. I really like using the wash because it really makes the details pop out without having to do a whole lot of effort, which I am game for. Don't forget to cover up your ink when you're done, that way it stays fresh. Once it's dry, we're going to go ahead and hot glue some aquatic plants and some plants that we bought from Dollar Tree. Now these are leftovers from other projects, so I didn't have to buy new. Just buy a handful and you don't have to keep going back because you will have plenty. Original cost of all those plants that I've bought for this entire series was maybe $6. And we're just going to willy-nilly put these plants on here. There's no rhyme or reason like most of the things that I do. There's no real reason in most of the things that come into my head. So we're just going to put what looks pretty and what I think works with this project. Now for the great cover-up, we're going to be doing the flocking next, using some PVA glue to give it something to stick to. And we're going to just pick and choose where we're going to have it. This is just a grassland blend from Woodland Scenics. Now I am smart this time. Go me, I do learn. I'm going to stick it in the tub itself and sprinkle on the flocking. That way I don't make a huge mess. And then we wait. Moving into Dave's paint stash yet again for some mystery paint. We're going to paint out some details on the rock itself to give it a little bit more depth. Because it seems that we had lost that when we did the flocking. So we're going to bring that right back out. I'm just choosing the edges of the rock to kind of bring out the detail, or where I think the rock is. I went a little heavy-handed, per usual. Gotta stay on brand, right? Thrive on chaos here in the Creator household. Why pretend to be anything else than what we are, right? So chaos it is. Not forgetting to get the back side because players do see both sides. This is not a Christmas tree, so we do have to decorate the entire thing. The only cut corners are the ones that we can cover up in flocking, and we already did that, so now we need to bring out some detail. Well, there you have it, the finished piece. I like how it looks. Looks good. It'll look even better on the table. There you have it. Super easy, super quick, super cheap, which is the way we like it here at Creators Gaming. If you liked the video, please hit the like, subscribe, share the video. It helps out a whole lot. And I hope to see y'all again next week. Bye.